Hello everyone, this is Vet Talk and I'm your host Sergeant Gonzalo Duran. Today's honored guest is Appolonia Cruz, Queen of the Bronx. Appolonia, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me once again.
So for the audience that may not know who you are, please tell us, who is Appolonia?
Appolonia Cruz is a drag entertainer turned event producer, and I've been doing a lot of events in New York City at all the 5 boroughs for 24 years. From evening dance cruises to pride festivals, Christmas in July, you name it, I'm there.
So an advocate for...
Advocate for marriage equality and advocate for the LGBTQXYZ community, women's rights.
Now I met you roughly like 9 years ago. I believe it was the steps of the Bronx Borough Hall. Reverend Hernandez had, yourself
Yes.
had put in an event for the LGBT community.
Yes.
I think it was a turn of the marriage equality stuff that was going on.
Yes.
But for me, Vet Talk, Devil Dog USA, we were there to represent the veteran community with the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy that just got repealed a couple years earlier, and we wanted to make sure that people didn't forget that there are veterans that were in the LGBT community and they were wrongfully terminated, and they have rights, legal rights to get their DD-214s amended, benefits and other benefits that they were denied during those time periods.
Yes.
Now, we've never spoken directly there, but are you aware of that situation that happened?
Yes, especially with the trans military personnel that was serving, honorably, and all of a sudden they got kicked out just because of their gender.
For me, one of the situations that that's still stuck in my mind, there was a gentleman, a junior enlisted Marine, and he had an earring, and he got reprimanded for that. And I think it hurts, for those that don't understand, like that guy that just got caught with an earring, he lost, like, let's say, some money, possible promotion stuff. I remember it was very clear. I was like, you got in trouble for an earring? I mean, this guy's that have baggy clothes and doing all these other things and drinking on and getting in trouble, but you're getting him because he had an earring. That's something that really bothered me while I was in the service.
It sounds crazy. And do you know how long was he serving?
So he was a junior Marine. I believe I met him while I was there. So, just under 5 years, maybe 2 to 3 years he was already in. And then there was another situation where someone in their personal life, what they did, behind closed doors, not in the military, in clubs, I never knew what exactly he was doing. I heard rumors and, a picture here and there. But once again, it had nothing to do with his job performance or anything, but he got kicked out for what he was doing. And once again, he didn't hurt anybody. He didn't do anything that was, local law would arrest him for, or anything like that. He lost his pay, lost his job, lost the benefits and all that stuff. And then, when you, at that time, or not only at that time, but during now, if you have a negative, a dishonorable discharge, it hurts you in your career.
Of course.
In the real world, that's something that's really, that's something that I've, once again, when I saw those incidents, I did what I could as someone that was in service to fight back, but there was very little what I can do. But I never shied away from lending a helping hand for those individuals that I came across. And then I come home 2 years later. I see, I think it was Peter Frank.
Yes.
Came to my door. He was like, we're having this event. We would love for the veterans inclusion. Now that led up to something that we've been seeing each other almost every year for. Would you tell the audience what you do in July that's called the Little Festival?
Yes. So I used to be an MC for an agency that used to produce Bronx Pride Festival, We used to be held in June, and then they moved to July. And we kept that. We did it at 2 different parks. We did it at Barreto Point Park, and then when they decided that they were gonna have a pool, I don't know if you heard about the free pool
I've heard of it, yeah.
at Barreto Point Park. So they told us that we had to change park location because the pool is gonna bring a lot of people, and during our Pride Festival, we used a lot of space. So we then moved to Crotona Park for several years. And after that, in 2012, the agency that produced Bronx Pride Festival in July went belly up. So Peter Quality Frank spoke to me. He told me about it. He says, Apple, you want to save the festival? And I said, let's do it. Let's save the festival. So it was Peter Quality Frank, Reverend Carmen, myself, and a small group of people that we shared the same passion, and that was save Bronx Pride Festival. There was nothing else around. So we did it. I handled the entertainment lineup. Peter looked over the exhibitors section, and he did it for a couple of years. Then Peter left. Then we had Kevin O'Reilly that became my co-producer. He was handling the exhibitor section again, and I was handling the festival. 10 years later, Kevin left, and I've been handling everything on my own ever since.
Now, I remember that the first year for me, and I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just going to throw a little anecdote here, but I remember when we started, we were all the way in the back, and we've slowly worked our way to the front, and we appreciate, you including us, and once again,
Yes.
we're Devil Dog is not an LGBT organization, but we're encompassed into the community.
Yes.
So inclusive for us, or in my belief, inclusivity means having everybody at the table.
Exactly.
So I've always appreciated, every year you allow us to speak,
Of course.
have a table, etc., which we're very grateful for.
You help us out every year. That year when they had the exhibitors on the other side of the festival, I fought against that. I'm like, why are we dividing the festival? We had the showcase and then the exhibitor on the other side of the park. I'm like, no, let's not do that. I lost the battle that year. But the following year, I said, no, we're not doing that again. So we put the exhibitors on the path that goes straight to the amphitheater stage. That's where we used to have it all the time. And that's how I'm continuing it.
Now, for me, I've always seen it like broken up into 3 parts, and please correct me. You have, let's say, the main stage where the performances, different individuals, let's say drags or
Everybody. Doesn't
you know.
matter what your gender, whatever your race, doesn't matter.
It could be music, comedy,
Yes.
it's different things all around. It's an
Yes.
all-encompassing.
Yes.
Then you have the exhibitors,
Yes.
that have different, businesses and products and et cetera, health services.
Oh, many health services.
Yeah. But the main thing is the health. The full title of this year was
It's a health fair. We had Boom Health that does the HIV testing and other STDs. We had this year Albert Einstein, Mount Sinai, doctors being our sponsor also, and they got to speak on the stage talking about healthcare for the LGBTQ, XYZ community, trans care, and we had August Community that spoke about case management, because we have a lot of people in our community, not only the LGBT, but the straight community, that we're all struggling, and a lot of them don't know where to go. So August Community opened their doors, and they help everybody with case management. Doesn't matter if you're HIV positive or not. If you're struggling, you have a family, they could help you, get help.
And that's one of the things I love when we can see that. I mean, obviously you need some organizations to be focused and narrowed,
Yes.
but you also need those organizations that are more general and
Yes.
specific. Because like let's say for the veteran community, a lot of our funding, what people don't understand when it comes to funding, sometimes these restrictions are given to when they give you the money, there's restrictions on what and how you can spend it.
Yes.
So that's why some people may not understand. You can't just go around and expect you to go into an office and be like, I need money, or I need this service, or I need that. It's more complicated than something like that. Now, this festival, Now, not only is it, we broke down what, the history of it, where you at now, but this is your 13th year
My
now.
13th year producing this festival, but I used to be an MC before we took over the festival. I was an MC like more than 6 years. From being one of the co-hosts to being the producer, director, organizer, decorator,
Working your way up the chain of command. Right?
and I do everything, And my festival looks like a pride festival. You notice in the rainbows all over the place, with the banners of all the sponsors, and people tell me, "Oh my God, this feels like a pride festival, the way it should be."
Now, this is something you do every year.
Yes.
Now, just to put it out there, how would somebody, if they want to volunteer, if they want to contribute, if they want to help you out, how could they reach you?
So if anybody would like to sponsor, volunteer at my Bronx Pride Festival and Health Fair, they could email me at Bronx Pride Festival, Crotona Park, at gmail.com. Bronx Pride Festival, Crotona Park, at gmail.com.
So now, in this is, one of your biggest
Yes.
thing, but this is not something you do. You don't just do one thing once a year. You have multiple different events and programs
Yes.
that you do. Would you go over some of
Yes.
the other ones?
Normally I do a Pride cruise every year, but for the past 2 years, it was just too much for me to do. But we are coming back in 2025. I'm already in talks about that. I do a Pride cruise, but for the week of Bronx Pride Festival in July, I have 4 events in 1 week. That people
In 1 week?
Yes, in 1 week I have 4 events. I have my Bronx Pride Festival in Helfer in July. The following day is the Queen of the Bronx, Appolonia Cruz birthday Pride cruise. Then the middle of the week, I have a private picnic for all of my volunteer sponsors and entertainers. Then the following Saturday, I have my annual Christmas in July, which I started that in Miami, South Beach in the 1990s.
How did that develop? Please tell me. Because Christmas in July is...
I love Christmas. So when I lived in South Beach, Miami, I said, what theme should I give this birthday this year? And then I said, Christmas in July. And I did it, and anybody who's anybody used to attend my Christmas in July in South Beach. We even had the police department used to park their cars in front of my building. They were like my personal security. They would just park in front of the building, stay there the whole night, And I knew people back then.
Now, with now bringing it into the Bronx, Christmas, July, that's, is this more of an open invitation? Is it
Yes,
private?
no, it's a community event. The former Bronx Pride, the former Bronx Bowl president, Ruben Diaz Jr., he used to call my Christmas in July Bronx Pride Festival Part 2 with a holiday twist. That's how he used to call that before. So it's like Christmas in July. It's an all Christmas showcase, and the entertainers also perform their own music. We have a lot of live performers.
Gotcha. Well, I haven't seen it, or I haven't been there before yet. I hope to see it next year or this year if it happens. Now, with all these activities that you're doing, from my conceptual, the way I look at it is, your Pride is normally June. That's when people are really pushing towards it.
Yes.
But these activities you're talking about are in July.
Yes.
Some even further out.
Yes.
Why expand it more?
Well, we originally were part of the June Bronx Pride Festival. We were the ones that were doing it. But then the directors decided to move it to July. So I said, that's not a bad idea, because in the Bronx, there's nothing happening in July. So doing my Christmas in July, my Bronx Pride Festival in July has helped the community, because they go, oh my God, there's a place to go besides June Pride Month. So we have people, elders from all walks of life. They show up in their wheelchairs, walkers, and they go, Appolonia, we're here for you. Thank you for doing this. It gives me an excuse to leave the house. So the community enjoys it. That's why I continue doing it. And I added more events.
I'm glad to hear that. One of the few things that I've seen, when I left home for the military when I was 18, the LGBT community, let's say, I'm going to be direct when I say this, being homosexual was very taboo. It wasn't as open as it is now. And I left in 2013. No, excuse me, 2000. Yeah, 2003. And, I turned 18, went straight into the military. When I came back, like I said, within 2 years, I bumped in, to you guys, and it opened a door that I was not expecting.
Yes.
Because now you have, let's say now there's bad, or bad was there at the time. I just didn't know that they were there.
Exactly. The Bronx Academy of Arts and Dance.
Thank you.
That's my theater home also, by the way.
Then you had the LGBTQ plus A New York City Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, Reverend Carmen.
Then now you have SAGE for the LGBT, the elderly LGBT.
Yes.
And then, and there's I can't remember all of them right now, but there's a task force now. There's all these things to bring more attention to the causes.
Awareness.
Awareness.
And, all these organizations and, the people that were here before me, they fought for this. I remember growing up and watching Divine. You remember Divine, right? Divine was, she was a drag queen, an artist, a singer. I mean, we used to call her a big old mess, but we mean it in the good way.
Okay.
And, she was the one that was carrying the torch back then. She came out in Hairspray with Ricky Lake, the movie Hairspray. And, what's happening now is nothing new. This has been happening since the 60s, since before I was born, LGBT rights, people fighting for it, the Stonewall riots. So this is something that's not new. People think it's new, but it's not. The gays have been fighting for our rights for a very long time. And I'm happy that in this generation, I'm one of those that are fighting, that's still fighting. But I'm getting older, so we need the younger generation to get involved.
So this is something we talked about briefly last year. We had a LGBT youth hip hop themed event, and one of the and it was during the height of when some of the laws were being changed. I don't remember them specifically, but nationally these laws were being changed.
Yes.
I think there was like 20 or something in one particular month or time frame. And we just had this event, and we're like, well, I was kind of concerned that, should I make it even public? Should I, put it in a poster and say, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I've never had a situation where I had to be cautious. Not that that anything happened. It went without a situation, but I did receive, some messages saying, blah 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 blah.
Exactly, of course.
So when we had that event, one of the things that I said was, you're a trailblazer for the times and the things that you got done. A lot of the things that's happening in the Bronx, you set the pavement for that. But now, who are the next future leaders in that genre? What do you think that's going to be?
Well, we need the younger generation. The younger generation needs to get involved. I'm here to teach. I'm here to guide. Many of our activists in the Bronx, in the LGBT plus community, LGBTQ, we're getting older. I'm not retiring anytime soon, but we need to get the younger generation involved so we could guide them, so they could be our next leaders, so they could be in front of the microphone, behind the podium, fighting for our rights while we stand behind them, and giving them our approval. That's my message to the community at my Bronx Pride Festival.
And that's a beautiful sentiment, and that's right there. That's why I'm going to say to the public right there. That's why I may not be a part of the LGBT community. I am an ally. Do I consider that I have to be an ally? For me,
I'll make you an honorary one.
Oh, right there. But my sentiment is everything you just said. There's no reason to have these illicit, ugly. Hatred for the stuff that's going on, because for me personally, for the work that Devil Dog does, what Vet Talk is trying to get out there is that there are situations where people are committing suicide because of what's going on, because of these hatred things, and there's a place and time for everything to be done, but when we have the youth doing these things, individuals, the elderly.
Mhm.
It's a sad time. For us, any veteran that's lost because of suicide is one too many. And I feel the same way when it comes to somebody with the LGBT community that's doing something that's perfectly legal, there's nothing wrong, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever you want to, come at, the point that I'm trying to get at is there's a separation of what's my business and your business, and
Yeah.
look at us right here.
What gets me upset every time there's an election, the first the last before this current president was here, the things that they were fighting about was the restrooms, and now they turned from the restrooms, now it's grooming. Nobody's grooming anybody. You know what I'm saying? Gay people do have kids. I have a lot of lesbian female friends that have grandkids. They brought them to my Pride Festival. They were enjoying themselves. They don't see it in a negative way. Nobody's grooming anybody. So when they say that there's grooming going, that gets me upset. That really gets me upset. And the ones that are accusing us of grooming are the ones that are committing stuff, behind the scenes. So.
I've always throw this out there when people say situations like that. And it's more like you can't blame everybody for a few bad apples, There are situations that have happened, but that doesn't mean there's a whole community that's trying to do something. I've been, we've been friends for almost nine years already. And I've enjoyed everything that I've been in the circles of the LGBT community.
Yes.
I've never seen anything that's been out of place. Now, I know of things that's going on in other places, like let's say, I'm not trying to get like all political or negative on one particular thing, but there was one parade where there was a gentleman nude around kids. Obviously, that's something that shouldn't be, put out there. But I've never seen anything like that in the Bronx.
No, in New York City, that rarely happens. Now, if you go to San Francisco, your mouth is gonna drop. They're more open. They do these street festivals. It is not for kids, but the community is like they're wearing almost nothing. But it's allowed over there. Over here, it's not allowed. At my festivals, the city always tells me. They don't tell me anymore. At the beginning, they were like, "You need to keep your festival political free." Kid friendly, but that's how I always did it.
I've always gone in. I've never had any mindset that anything negative was going to happen. So I'm glad that's something that hasn't happened. 13 years, you're going strong,
13 years, but with the other agency, it's like almost 20 years that I've been involved with Bronx Pride Festival in July. I had my brother's daughter. My brother's a promoter in New York City, DJ Cruz. When his daughters were little girls, he brought them to the festival, and they never see me in drag. And then my brother told them, "That's Theo. He's an actor." And they say, "Oh, Theo looks so beautiful. You look so beautiful, Theo." Now my nieces already, they're women. Well, one of them passed away unfortunately to COVID, but thank you. The one that that's here. She has 5 daughters. She took them, my grandnieces, to see me, and they were so happy. Oh, they were so happy. Theo, you look so beautiful, Theo. The same thing their mom told me when she was little, when she was their age. And, they was having a blast, dancing, watching all the artists perform.
That's something that, I like to push on. When I've been given the invitations to go to the performances, initially I was hesitant a little bit. I've never been to a drag show or anything like that.
Yes.
But when I walked in, it wasn't about the drag part. It was about the entertainment part.
It's entertainment. Forget about your problems that you're having at the moment. At my events that I do, people forget about their problems. They just go. They know they're gonna have a good time. They know that I'm gonna be acting silly in the microphone. I make fun of myself, and just seeing their faces and they laughing, and several of them I know personally that I know they're struggling with personal issues, but they laughing. And then after the event is over, they go, "Appolonia, thank you so much. You just took me away from my problems for a moment." And they always thank me every year.
I'm glad that. You know, one other thing that you know we've been working on almost every year now is Santa Claus, and Mr. Claus.
Yes. How many years? We did it 2 or 3 years already.
It's been more than 3 already.
Okay.
So you know that's something that I wasn't expecting, and we've you know upped the ante a little bit every year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this past year, you know I'm playing Santa, you're playing Mrs.
I
Claus.
play Mrs. Claus, and we make the perfect team. Hopefully, you're ready for the 31st of August.
I should be.
Because I had to reschedule due to low sponsorships. I had to reschedule my Christmas in July to August, so now it's called Appolonia Cruz 12th Annual Christmas in July and August.
So now you know the date. Now you know the
Saturday,
date.
October 31st, from 12 to 7 at Baroda Point Park.
Now, if somebody once again wanted to maybe contribute, help you out, volunteer, let them know how.
They could reach out to me. Appolonia Cruz is APPOLONIA, last name Cruz, C as in cat or UZ at yahoo.com. They could just put on the subject Christmas in July or Bronx Pride, and I'll be more than happy to connect with them if they want to come on board, if they want to be volunteers, you know, any which way to help out, because my community events is for the entire community. It's not just for one group, it's for everybody. And half of my performers at Bronx Pride was straight.
Interesting.
And the DJ is straight. And my U-Haul driver, right-hand man, he's straight, he has kids. It's not like the people behind the scenes, the majority are straight people.
Fine. Well, thank you, Appolonia, for being here today. We
Thank you.
appreciate everything that you're doing. And now, if there's any last things you want to tell anybody?
I just want to say, you know, thank you for your support to the community. I do this event for the community. I make no money for myself doing these events at all. It's just a promise that I made when I lived in Miami Beach and South Beach. I said, when I move to New York, I'm going to make a difference in the Bronx. And that's what I've been doing for now 24 years.
Well, with that being said, I want to say thank you to our executive producer, J Empire Media and Vero G Productions. And as always, God bless America.